Okay, now we're going to welcome Coach Michael Burt back up to the stage to talk Pray Drive.
All right. I'm on. There we go. I'm on. Okay, so let's go back and let's do the exercise, and let's pretend that we're doing this exercise. How many of you guys are going to do A to B every night again? Remember? We're going to tell the brain exactly what you want. It's going to go to work for you. It's going to be like a supercomputer. You're going to start finding the people that you need. And some people say, well, I don't know if I have time to do it. And I call that too busy being fabulous, okay? So we don't want to be too busy being fabulous. So when we're doing the exercise of A to B, we're at A and we're trying to get to B, and we draw a line right down the middle and we go, who internally can help us and who externally can we help us? And I told you the two things you need here is you need to find your who's and get into action. Well, 41 years old, I'm sitting in a workshop with the former Vietnam veteran. The Vietnam veteran was teaching the workshop. And he was telling a story of how when he was in the Vietnam War, his job was in the war dog division of the Vietnam War. Okay, how many veterans do we have in the room tonight? Okay, number one, thank you for your service. Thank you very much. The young lady who is my right-hand woman is a former Navy intel analyst right here named Jana Creel. Stand up and give her a hand. One of the smartest people I know, one of the toughest people I know. And he was telling this story of being in the war dog division of the Vietnam War. His job was to wake up every morning in the jungle, to go ahead of the infantry with nothing but a dog. That dog's job was to sniff out bombs, booby traps, ambushes. Any day you think it's tough doing what you do for a living, I want you to imagine the self-talk that you would have to have waking up in that jungle every single day. The psychology, it's you and that dog. And he kept talking about that dog having a prey drive, P-R-E-Y-D-R-I-V-E. And I'm sitting in this workshop and I am fascinated by this because when you write books like I do, you're like a songwriter. You're looking for a hook. You're looking for what I call vujade. You're looking for a fresh twist on an old way of thinking. And when he used those two words, prey drive, I go, boom. But I didn't know what it was. So I did what any person would do that doesn't know what something is. What did I do? I Googled it. And I Googled it, and it says an animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. An animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill. A dog has a prey drive. It is that animal's instinctual ability to see something and pursue it. And I'm like, bingo. I immediately call my intellectual property attorney, and I say, I want to trademark these two words in humans. Because I believe humans have a prey drive, but it's not their instinct to stalk, capture, and kill. It is their instinctual ability to see something with the eyes, optically, or in the mind. That's your imagination. And to have the persistence and the intensity to pursue it. Okay? It's your ability to see something with the eyes. Because I was doing a session for 200 blind business owners one Saturday morning. And they came up to me when I was finished speaking. They said, sir, I can't see it with my eyes, but I could see it in my mind. And you have activated my drive to go do something. So to write this book, Flip the Switch, which became a Wall Street Journal bestseller, to write this book, I studied the top 20 motivational theories. I deconstructed those theories. I codified those theories. Every one of those theories basically say the same thing. We move toward things we want. When we're hungry, we move toward food. When we're lonely, we move toward people. When we're thirsty, we move toward water. But what happens to people when they have everything they want? What happens to people when they have everything they want? They become what? Lazy. They become complacent, which means a gradual settling to a place of mediocrity. The word mediocre means to go halfway up the mountain. Now, when I put my 3 kids in the car in the morning to go to school, I look at my 3-year-old daughter named Emmeline Rose, and I go, energy and motion, energy and motion. We're going to have energy and motion day. And she goes, energy and motion, Daddy, energy and motion. And then I look at my son. Remember, I grew up without my father. Not a bad guy, just didn't know how to be a good dad. I look at my son and I go, you're the best son in the world. And you're going to do something big today. And he goes, we're going to do something big today, Dad. Right? Because you're the best son in the world. Then I look at my 13-year-old daughter who's a cheerleader. And I go, time to go pro today, sweetheart. And she looks back at me and she says, because the amateurs ain't never going to make it, Daddy. And that's what I say to them. I never say, go to school today and go gradually settle to a place of mediocrity. Everybody with me? We're going to do something big today. We got a lot of talent and potential today. So when I'm studying these theories, I'm like, okay, we move toward things we want, but why do people become complacent? Why do they become lazy? Well, the easy definition or easy reason is because satisfied needs never motivate. Only unsatisfied needs. We get satisfied when we got a good house, we got a good job, we got a good life. Our life is good. And what that actually does is it deactivates the prey drive. So my definition of prey drive is your instinctual ability to see something with the eyes optically or in the mind. That is the imagination, because we go there in the mind before we go there in the body. All things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. So you go there in imagination first. That's a gift. God gave us the gift of imagination, independent will, to have a vision of something. Right? One of Jim's strong visions is to activate this community, for this to be one of the greatest entrepreneurial communities in the United States. And with the rate at which you're going, that could be possible. Okay? So when you think about it, that's a vision. I've gone there in the mind, but I hadn't gone there in the body. All things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. So when you think about prey drive, it's your instinct to pursue. I see something and I go get it. I see something and I pursue it. So when I wrote this book, I deconstructed and I basically came up with my own theory of motivation that says there's really three things we're looking at. Motivate means to move. When I don't know what to do, I do something. That's motivation. Okay? Inspiration means to breathe life into. I'm inspired. But inspiration is like cotton candy. Right? Like you could see me tonight and get inspired and go, man, I want to go do something bigger in my life. But what will happen is, if there's not a consistency with me or a structure, then you will kind of gradually contract to a place of comfort. That is human nature. Yeah, inspiration is like cotton candy. That's why I tell people, read my books, they're not going to change your life. Watching me on TikTok is not going to change your life. Watching me on Instagram or YouTube is not going to change your life. Being coached by me, being personally mentored by me, that could change your life. Because there is consistent, ongoing, systematic repetition. 90 days ago, I hired a trainer. I paid $5,000 for 90 days with this trainer. And when you pay attention. So when I paid the $5,000, it was 30 workouts. I like to box, so I would go in and box for cardio, and then he would plan my workouts when I was on the road. When I paid the $5,000, guess what I didn't do? I didn't miss one workout. Because when you pay attention. I'm committed. So motivate means to move. Inspire means to breathe life into. But activate means to initiate. That means to activate something inside of you. So when you think about this drive, when you're going from A to B, what do you need? You need to activate something inside of you. You need to initiate. Now there's three phases of this drive. Let's look at this. Number one, this drive must be activated every single day. Some of you have been deactivated. You're burned out. You've lost all joy or passion. You're not in the game. You're cruising. You have become deactivated. Life has knocked the shout out of you. You were in the game and now you're not in the game. And we got to learn to activate that drive. Now I wear a bracelet that says we go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. It all goes to zero at midnight. So how do we activate our drive every single day? What if I told you that amateurs listen to their feelings, but professionals do not listen to their feelings? See, I've coached professional athletes. I've coached musicians. I've coached some of the top people in the world. And what if I told you that they get tired, they get burned out? What if I told you some days they don't want to do what they have to do? I mean, do you really think Journey feels like singing Don't Stop Believing again? Do you think that football player feels like getting hit that hard on Sunday? No, but they're making millions of dollars to catch a football, to sing a song. And what they basically have figured out is, man, I know how to activate that drive. So how do I activate that drive? I actually activate it in four ways. If there's four parts of your nature, there is a body, that's physical, that represents skill. There is a mind, that's mental, that represents knowledge. There is a heart, That's emotional. That represents passion, pray drive. And there is a spirit, that's spiritual. That represents faith, belief, confidence. What if I told you, if I wake up deactivated, I've been doing this 34 years, by the way. I've been coaching people for 34 years. I'm 49 years old. I started when I was 15. All I have ever known in my life is coaching people. First in athletics for those 16 years, then in business for the last X number of years, 20 years. There's days I wake up and I go, I don't want to coach anybody. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to go be on tonight. I don't want it, right? There's days that I feel like that. So how do I activate that drive? I wake up in the morning, and this is my morning routine. Number one, I wake up typically early, and the first thing I do is I listen to a song called It's a Great Day to Be Alive. First thing. Because it's hard to be mad when you wake up. Would you rather have $1 million or wake up tomorrow? I want you to think about this. So I wake up and I listen to a song called It's a Great Day to Be Alive. Okay? Then I'm a faith-based person, so I typically then listen to a sermon. Typically 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'll listen to about 15 minutes of a sermon while I go down and do a cold plunge. Now, that'll definitely wake you up, okay? As I'm doing that cold plunge, I'm watching something. I'm watching a faith-based sermon. Then I'm like, all right, I need to get moving. Now I'm going to exercise. If I'm going to the gym, I'm going to go box. If I'm working out in my home gym, I'm going to do something physical, okay? I'm going to spend time with my kids, typically from 6 to 7 a.m. That feeds my heart. And then I'm going to listen to something on business, okay? And my podcast is called The Big Table. So if you want to listen to me on podcast, and I'm going to listen to somebody on business in the morning. Now, look at what I've done. What if I wake up and I go, man, I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I'm deactivated. I go, what do I got to do? I got to flip the switch. And the way I flip the switch is I go to work on all 4 parts of my nature. Faith, right? Body, physical, mind, mental, heart, emotional. And I flip that switch and activate that drive, and I'm like, let's go. Now, for about a year to 2 years, I was trained in the morning by a Marine at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I would show up, and it was 5 businessmen. And we all own businesses, and we would show up to work out in the morning with this Marine, and he would greet us at the front door. And when we would come in the morning, it's like 4:58 in the morning, and we're all dragging in, and we're struggling, and he would meet us, and he'd say, good morning, ladies. Remember, it was 5 men. He would say, good morning, ladies. It's about time you got your mind ready for what your body is about to do. And you ain't going to like me for the next hour, but you're going to love me when we're finished. And he said that every single day that we showed up. And man, we hated that dude for that hour. But at the end of that hour, you know what we said? Thank you, we owe you. You know why? I wouldn't have gone that hard without you. I wouldn't have worked out this hard without you. I'm a better person because of you. And you know what those workouts did that I love? We prayed first. Then we sat and talked as men. We would talk about our problems, our issues. We called it mat chat. We'd pray, spend about 5 or 10 minutes just talking. This is what I got going on. What do you got going on? Then we would work out. Then at the end, he'd say, Coach, give them a business lesson. And I'd give him a little 5-minute business lesson at the end. Look at what he did. He fed the body, the mind, the heart, and the spirit. It was some of the best workouts I've ever had in my life. So when you're thinking about deactivated, I want you to think, some of you guys have allowed yourself to gradually settle to a place that you don't want to be at. It's like, man, how did I end up here? I woke up and, man, I've kind of allowed myself to get lazy and complacent. And I quit doing the things that made me great. That's step 1, activation. Now let's look at step 2 and step 3. These are phases of pray drive. Phase 2 is persistence. And persistence is the ability to suck the sour to get to the sweet. It is the willingness to do something over a cycle of time that you may or may not want to do. Like if you're running a business, my minimum number for prospecting per day is 35 to 57 touches. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to touch 35 to 57 people per day. From the time I get going. If I'm in my car for an hour, I'm hitting people. Right? And you say, well, who are you hitting? Current clients, past clients, strategic partners, people who can help me. 35 to 57 touches a day is my minimum standard. Everybody hear that? Okay, persistence. What if I told you one definition of passion means to suffer? It means the willingness to subordinate what you want now for what you want eventually. And most people don't have that. Most people want it right now. which is why they can't be great. They can't build a hard skill. So persistence is I have a structure. I send out a morning message to all of my clients. There's about 558 clients that I send out a message to at 7:15 in the morning every morning. It's 5 minutes with me. It goes straight to their cell phone. They listen to it. I'm trying to activate them. Then I get them to train in my online academy. I train in my own online academy every day. And it's me on the videos. And I'm like, that dude never gets tired. He just shows up every day. And I train for 10 or 15 minutes. Military trains every day. World-class athletes train every day. Great people train every day. Okay? Then I get people to come to my coaching sessions that I coach, typically 2 to 4 times a month. That's the rhythm I'm trying to get them in. Okay? So number 2 is persistence. That is a discipline. Discipline is a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. Step number 3 is intensity. Now, I'm over here coaching athletes. We're practicing at 4:30 in the morning. We're going at very high levels, and I leave the athletic world and I go over to the business world. And I start coaching billion-dollar companies, banks, mortgage companies, insurance companies, and they would basically give me all of their talent, and they'd say, you're basically chief talent development officer, and we want you to take this talent, and we're doing $2 billion, and we want to do $5 billion, okay? And they would say, here's your people. That was it. I had to come up with all the customer acquisition, all of the follow-up, all of the client engagement, and the first thing I noticed was that most businesses lacked intensity. I'd be like, nobody's running at a hard pace. Nobody's moving at a quick pace. And I remember coaching this bank. It was a $2.2 billion bank. They had 500 associates in 43 locations in Tennessee. I was in charge of creating the largest retail initiative in the history of that bank. I was in charge of coaching all 500 people. And I had 2 assistants. They said, we're going to give you a little team of people, okay? And if you hit 10,000 new accounts, we're going to give you a bonus. And I go, okay. So I'm working these people, and about 3 weeks into this cycle, the COO calls me and he said, look, you can't work these people that hard. He said, they're bankers. He said, you're working 18 hours a day. They're tired. They want to quit. And here's what I said, sir, do you want to open 10,000 new accounts or not? That is the objective you gave me. That is a championship. Do you want to hit this number or not? And I said, when they get tired, you give me 2 more. And when they get tired, you give me 2 more. And we will keep going until we find people who can handle this, right? By December 10th of that year, we hit 10,645 new customers in a 1-year cycle. That represented the largest retail initiative in the history of that bank. That was more customers than they had ever driven in 1 year. They hired me for 9 straight years to coach and consult that bank. Now, guess what they didn't have? Nobody had any intensity. So what is intensity? Is it passion? Is it veracity of attack? Is it timelines? Is it targets? Is it pressure? Is it, right? I think intensity is timelines and targets. Okay, so let's go through some of my timelines and targets. How many touches, if you were on my sales team, how many touches do I want you to have per day? 35 to 57. Minimum. In the follow-up, every study in the world tells me that it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a client. What do you think the national average is in follow-ups today? Today I was coaching 500 financial advisors. They just sold that company for $166 million. Okay? And they only sold 50% of it, by the way. And they brought me on today to coach 500 of their financial advisors, and these were young, 20 to 30-year-old people. And I'm coaching them, and I said, how many times do you follow up in the follow-up? And the consensus was 2 times when someone was interested in something. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. Intensity is I'm going to go 7 to 15 touches in the follow-up to convert someone who is interested in something to someone who is taking action on something. And that has to do with the law of diffusion. It has to do with a lot of stats. But most people are like, no, I don't have that intensity. Now, some of you go, is that a little aggressive? Well, what if I told you that I make up my mind in the first 15 seconds that I meet somebody? If they're alert, curious, and responsive, if they're hungry, humble, and teachable, I literally make up my mind in the first 15 seconds if I'm going to follow up. Now, when I speak, there's three types of people that come up to me. One person wants to walk up to me and say, hello, thank you for the presentation, maybe take a picture, and I don't mind that, okay? But the picture ain't going to change your life. Putting it on Instagram ain't going to change your life. One person walks up and said, I'd like to get a picture with you. And I say, okay, great, let's take a picture, right? One person is scared of me, so when I look at them, they kind of walk by me like this. Because they're scared to death to actually talk to me. And one person walks up to me and says, how do I work with you? I want you to think about this. When I walk around and meet and greet people, I know within 15 seconds of meeting somebody, are they hungry? Are they humble? And are they teachable? Are they alert? Are they curious? And are they responsive? And at that moment, I make it up my mind if I'm going to go the distance with you or not. Everybody see that? Now, one of the biggest deals I ever closed was a $1 million deal for a mortgage company. And I spoke at their conference, and at the end of the conference, this is a brand new CEO, and he said, I think we could really need your help to turn this mortgage company around. And I followed up for 1 year. For 1 year, I would follow up. Videos, voice text, anything I could do to follow up to stay in a flow and rhythm. I very seldom got anything more than an emoji that looked like this. That's it. But in that very first meeting, I made up my mind that this was somebody who would do something. Okay? A year into his deal as CEO, he calls me one day and he says, you know what? He said, I got a few problems with a few of my managers. Can you come help me? And I go, okay, well, tell me how many managers you got. He said, well, I got a real problem with this one manager, and I want you to coach him. And I said, well, why would we coach just one manager if we could coach all the managers? And he said, yeah, that's right. Draw up a plan to coach all the managers. And I said, well, if we're coaching the managers, shouldn't we be coaching the salespeople? Does you have anybody coaching them? He's like, you know what? Draw up a plan to coach the salespeople. And I said, well, if we're coaching the salespeople, we should actually be coaching operations people, because there's always rubs in mortgage companies between the salespeople and the operation people. And if we're going to really do it, then I really need to be coaching operations people too. And he said, you know what? Draw up a plan to coach operations people. And he said, I want you to fly around the country and coach all these branches. And I left the house that day, and I go, I'm going to ask for $1 million. And somebody asked me why. And I said, just to see if we can get it. All numbers are made up. Yes or no? Okay. So I go, they got the board of directors. I'm sitting in front of the board of directors. I'm sitting in front of the CEO. I go, man, guys, this is a big job. Y'all are doing $2 billion right now. You want to do $5 billion. I'm going to have to travel all over the country. I'm going to have to fly all over the country to do this. I'm going to be on the road a lot. I think we can do it. But for me to do it, it's going to be $1 million. And I just sat there and looked at him. And it was real quiet. And nobody said anything. And the CEO looked around at the board of directors. And he goes, Coach, I don't think we can get you to $1 million. I'm sorry. He said, would you accept $750,000? And I go, it's your lucky day. I'll take it. And I said, as part of this deal, you're going to rent my jet. Because y'all want to fly around the country. Instead of using somebody else's jet, you're going to use my jet. You're going to rent that jet at this rate for 200 hours, or X number of hours that you want to get it. Okay? You're going to pay for me to fly around on that jet to go to all these places. And if I hit the goals, I want a $250,000 bonus to get to $1 million. Can we put this deal together? And he said, I think we can do it. Now, if I didn't have the boldness to ask for that, would I have gotten it? Yes or no? Okay. So when you think of Pray Drive, I want you to think of Pray Drive is an instinct to pursue something. There are moments in life when I was 22 years old and that guy said, why should we hire you? And I go, because I'll be the one guy who brings a championship to you. That's a Pray Drive moment. Sitting across from Cardone, trying to get on that 10X stage. When he said, why should I put you on stage? And I go, man, $100,000. Okay? That is a what? Pray Drive moment. You guys see the movie Tin Cup? The golfing movie where he says either you define the moment or the moment defines you. There are moments in life that are Pray Drive moments where you either go for it or somebody else does. You guys that are raising capital, you either have enough guts to ask for the capital and you say and you sell people on this concept. People do business with other people who believe the same things they do. So if I were giving these pitches up here, here's what I would say. Here's what I believe. Here's why I believe it. Here's what this company's going to do. Here's how this is different than every other company that's out there. Here are successful places that we have seen success with this. Who would like to join me on this mission to go do this? You see, I'm on the board of directors of a publicly traded company called Safe Space that uses AI to keep people safe. Think guns at schools. Think prison systems. And they're working on technology that can detect a gun in the parking lot, in a backpack. And if it works, okay, and they can pull it off, then they would be able to detect that and shut the school down just like that. Notify the police. Let people know. So these people that get into schools and bring guns in, then that technology will be able to say, this person has a gun, they're in the parking lot, lock the school down immediately, they wouldn't even get into the school. And if they can solve that problem, then that will be a major company. Yes or no? Yes. So if we believe in keeping people safe, listen to the pitch. If we believe we can create technology, and that AI multimodal technology can identify these things and can do these things, if it could do it, would you be interested in it? When I got involved in that company, the stock was at 6 cents. It was what they call a penny stock, over-the-counter stock. Being on the board of directors, we got up to about $1.80 at one time. It's come back down and fluctuated as they've gone out and signed contracts, but the goal with that company is real simple. It's to get to $2, uplist on the New York Stock Exchange, and get to $10 while they're saving people's lives. Okay, and that company called Safe Space. So when you think about this, there's certain moments. When they came to me, they said, we want you to invest in this company. And I asked a simple question. Do you want my money? Do you want my influence? Guess what they said? They said, we'll take both. I said, if you could only pick one, which one would you want? And they said, well, you know, and I said, tell you what, guys, let me go home and study the company. Let me see what I think. I'm speaking tomorrow. Be my guest at the Greatness Factory and come see me speak. They come saw me speak the next day. When we were done, the founder of the company and the president of the company said, we got to talk to you right now. Step over into this room. We went over to the room and they said, forget the investment. We want you to be on the board of directors and we'll give you stock in the company if you'll just join the board of directors. Now, if that was at 6 cents and it got up to $1.80, what was the stock worth? I want you to think about that. Because in my last session I'm going to do tonight, it's called $1 Million Days. It's how you actually experience a $1 million day. And you can experience a $1 million day if you bet on something and that stock goes up that much. Yes or no? You can experience a $1 million day if you sell a piece of real estate that's got equity in it. You can experience a $1 million day if you have the guts to go do that. So as I close this session, let me show you the 5 habits of the top 1%. And if you're looking at Pray Drive, I want you to look up there. These are the top 5 habits of the top 1% of performers in the world. And I want you to look and see what you think you're missing. Look at number 1. Remarkable boldness. That does not say remarkable baldness, although it could. Remarkable boldness is striking fearlessness. It's the boldness to ask another person for something without fear, without rejection, without embarrassment. Number 2, intrinsic motivation. Deep reasons you do something. Not external, internal. I call those because goals. Number 3, incredible connection skills. When you study the best people in the world, this is what they have. They can connect to anybody, anywhere, anytime. They give off the impression of increase. And look at 4 and 5. The ability to lock in and see something through to its conclusion. And the ability to have the grit and resilience to start and finish, which so many people don't have. Why don't they? This is human nature. We start with good intention. The Pray Drive is activated. We fail to follow through. And then we experience guilt. What are we grieving? Our lost potential. All the dreams we should have done, all the things we should have pursued, all the times we should have went for it that we didn't. Those are called boldness regrets. Okay? So what I talked about in that session is from the book Flip the Switch. And I think there's some people who are going to get this book tonight, the VIPs. So the VIPs are going to get this book tonight, and I'd be happy to sign it. And it took me 18 books to write a Wall Street Journal bestseller. 18. You know the only difference in the first 17 and number 18? I got sick and tired of writing good books that didn't hit the list. I picked up the phone, I called Ed Milet, and I said, who launched your book? And he said, Rory Vaden. I picked up the phone that day and called Rory Vaden. I said, you're my coach on this book. I want it to be a New York Times or Wall Street Journal bestseller. They said it's 18 grand for 3 hours. I said, book it. For 3 hours, we sat in a room with the board, and he showed me 5 strategies to take the book and make it a bestseller. That was not an expense. That was an investment. Now I know how to hit that list in perpetuity. I paid 18 grand to learn something that I didn't know how to do. Everybody with me? Then I'm like, I should have did it on the first book.
Hey, Coach,
This is prayer.
any of those tips, could you have some authors in the room?
The truth you need to understand is when it comes to the Wall Street Journal, they've done away with the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. The only ones you can hit today are USA Today, New York Times. But what if I told you there's certain publishers that will not hit the New York Times? Here's an example. Ed Milet's book, The Power of One More, has never hit the New York Times bestseller list. It sold like 107,000 copies the first day, and it still didn't hit the list. You guys just watch Alex Hormozy sell 2 million books in a day. That book will still not be on the New York Times because the New York Times list only has certain publishers that will put it on there for whatever reason, politics, whatever reason. So you could go with the publisher and write a great book. So when I sat down with him, I said, I want this book to be on the New York Times. This book was published by McGraw-Hill. And he said, it's not happening. I said, what do you mean it's not happening? He said, McGraw-Hill has not had a book on the New York Times in the past 10 years. Neither has Wiley. There's only certain books that the New York Times will put on there. He said, so the only shot we got is the Wall Street Journal. To hit this list, you have to sell minimum of 10,000 units before the book typically comes out or in a concentrated period of time. And the way you sell the book is by giving away a lot of things. Hey, I'm going to give you this 4-week series. Hey, I'm going to let you, if you bought 500 copies of this book, I'll let you fly on the jet with me. If you bought 10,000 copies, I came and lived with you for 6 months. The truth is, it was like, how many different things can we do to get a person to buy this freaking book and give us $30? And it ain't about the money, by the way. So if you don't know the game, see, for the first 17 books, I didn't know the game. I just thought you could write good books and they could hit the list. No, there is a game to this. You have to know how to play that game. And if you don't know how to play this game, you could write 100 books that would never hit the New York Times list, okay? But once you know, and Vaden knows, because he's launched 10 New York Times bestsellers in a row, he knows exactly how to play the game. And that's really what I paid the 18 grand for, if that makes sense. Great question.
All right, a few questions for you. First one, how do you help clients manage fears that hold back their internal prey drive?
Fear is an activator of prey drive. The way I help clients with fear is to help them understand that you should thank fear. You should say, thank you, I owe you. Your job is to keep me out of trouble. Your job is to try to protect me. But right now, what I need to do is the way I cure fear is through action. The only way to cure fear is through action, by the way. So when you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm afraid to do this. What are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of embarrassment? You're afraid of failure? You're afraid of rejection? You're afraid people are going to laugh at you? You're afraid people are going to make fun of you? Like, what are you really afraid of? So Jimmy Evans did a sermon on this called I Changed My Mind. And it was a whole series where he talked about, I changed my mind about fear, worry, doubt, insecurity. And it's really changing your mind about fear. It's like, if I feared, I probably should do it. Right or wrong? So fear is my friend. Use it to activate the prey drive. Man, I'm scared. No matter how many times I speak, I still have a healthy fear that you guys are not going to like me, or you're not going to believe in me, or it's going to flop, or whatever the case. No matter how many times you talk, you're still going to have that. But through repetition, consistent repetition, you build muscle memory. And muscle memory is a know-how, like an athlete that doesn't think. It's like, go. You know how to do this. You've been trained to do it. Fear is your friend.
Question. What psychological methods support prey drive, especially as it pertains to resilience and grit?
I mean, I told Price Pritchett, who's a great psychologist, that if I had one big regret, I went back to get a doctorate in management and leadership. I went to college for 9 years to get 3 degrees. And I regretted that I didn't get a PhD in psychology. And I told the great psychologist, Price Pritchett, that was one of my big regrets. And he said, you have been practicing psychology for 30 years, real world psychology. And when you think about it, The psychology of pray drive is grit. Yes or no? Pray drive is resilience. Pray drive is the ability to just keep going. I just called it something different, right? Now, why did we call the book Flip the Switch? The publishers would not let me call the book Pray Drive. They thought it was too masculine. They thought if it was on a bookshelf in an airport, people wouldn't understand it. Now, all my type A, high D, Leos are like, no, Pray Drive. And I argued with the publisher literally for 6 months. And my agent out of New York City was like, you ain't going to win. You sign the document. They own the book. They get to call it what it is. So they asked me, what happens when this Pray Drive is activated inside of you? And I said, it's almost like flipping a switch. And that's when we called the book Flip the Switch. Okay? Good session right there, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.